با سلام، من زهرا دلاور هستم و قراره در این آموزش از فرادرس گرامر سطح رو با هم دیگه مرور کنیم. در درس اول قراره در مورد present tense صحبت بکنیم. Simple present tense. We have talked about present tense in A1 grammar. We talked about affirmative and negative sentences form and yes/no questions. Now let's review some usage. We use simple present tense to talk about current habits. Look at this example. My father goes to work every day. When we say every day, it shows us that we are talking about a habit, something that happened in the past, now, and it may happen in the future too. In A1 grammar, we talked about time expressions of simple present. I told you that every is a keyword. It shows that something is repeated, something is routine. For example, every week, every month. Or I told you that we have some words like once, twice, or 3 times. Another usage is general truth. Water freezes at 0 degrees. It is a scientific fact. And it is always true. Then we have to use simple present tense to talk about it. But look at these verbs, goes and freezes. Why we add es or s here? We talked about them in A1 grammar, but let's review because the subject is third person. Here, because it ends in vowel, we have to add es, but here, because it ends in e. That's enough to add s. Another usage is talking about permanent situations and states. Bill lives in Tokyo. Verbs like live and work follow this rule because it is not about a short period of time. Now I want to introduce a new usage. We can use present simple to talk about timetabled future. What is a timetabled future? Look at this example. The train leaves at 6 on Monday. Is it about now? No, I'm talking about future. Or this one. The plane arrives at 18 tomorrow. I'm talking about future. But look at this timeline. Train leaves at 6 on Monday. Next Monday again 6. Next Monday again 6. It shows us that this is timetable. We can use present simple to talk about fixed arrangements, present or future. Now, I want to talk about present continuous tense. We have talked about it in A1 grammar. I told you about its form. Now we want to review its usage and introduce a new usage for that. We use present continuous to talk about actions happening now. For example, I'm teaching English now. You are watching this video now. They are watching TV now. Something is happening now. It is in progress now. It means that it has started in the past, continue till now, and may continue to future. We talked about its form. We have the syllable form of be that depends on the subject, and we have to add ing to the verb. We use present continuous to talk about temporary situations. Monica is working at school this year. Be careful. When I use present continuous to talk about some words like work, it means that it happens just for a short time. As you can see, the time expression shows us that this happened just for this year, this week, for a short time. Now I want to introduce a new usage for present continuous. Look at this example. I'm meeting Jane at 3:30 on Friday. Look at this timeline. Now I'm talking about something that happens in the future, but I have arranged it. Is it about present or future? Future. Is it a definite arrangement? Yes, this is different arrangement. there is a point about using present continuous to talk about future. We call it future arrangement. This is a plan that you have decided and organized with another person. Look, I and Jane. There are two people that arrange this plan, meeting each other. Then we can use present continuous, and it happens in the future. Let's review some time expressions that are used with present continuous. I told you we use present continuous when we are talking about something that is happening now, something that is in progress. Then we have some keywords like now, right now, at the moment, at present, today, tonight, this year, this week, this month, this summer, this morning, this afternoon, and this evening. When we are talking about arrangement or fixed arrangement, we have to use this time expression that are used to introduce future time. Next week, next weekend, next year, next summer, next Monday, or tomorrow. We have some time expressions like nowadays or these days. They show us that something is in progress now. Let's do this exercise. Put the verbs into the correct tense. They live in a very big house. Now you have to decide that we have to use present simple or present continuous. There isn't any time expression to help us, but when we use this verb like live or work, in general, it means that we are talking about a permanent situation. Then we have to use present simple. The answer is live. Why I didn't add any third person as? Because the subject was they. Let's move to this one. She, a yoga class tomorrow morning. Look, we are talking about future, tomorrow morning, but this is a class. When we are talking about a class, it means that this plan is timetable, like train or plane or buses. Then we have to use simple present. She has a yoga class tomorrow morning. Let's check this one. We, a staff meeting next Monday. I'm talking about future. This is arrangement and we have two people, we and staff. We have a meeting next Monday, but there are two people. Then we have to use present continuous. We are having a staff meeting next Monday. Let's check number 4. We, a staff meeting every Monday. Be careful, we have every here. I told you that every means that something happens regularly. Then this is a habit. This is a routine. I'm not allowed to add ing. I have to use simple present. The answer is have. Next one. Next Thursday at 14. There an English exam. When we are talking about exams or classes, exactly we are talking about some timetable plan. Then, although we are talking about future, we are allowed to use simple present tense. The answer is. Now I want to talk about action and non-action verbs. What are non-action verbs? As you can see, there isn't any action. When we are talking about our thoughts, emotions, senses, and position, exactly we are talking about non-action verbs. Believe. When I say I believe, there isn't any action. But when I say I walk, there is an action, walking. When I say I eat, there is an action, eating. But when I say I think or I agree, they are thoughts or emotions, love, hate, like, dislike. When I say I like apples, there isn't any action. Or see, hear, smell, taste, seem, feel, look, touch. They are talking about feelings. Or position, have, own, possess, contain, belong, want, consist, and include. They are non-action verbs. Non-action verbs also called stative verb too. But what is the point about non-action verbs? The most important point is that we are not allowed to use progressive tenses with them. What does it mean? Look at this example. I want a new car. Want is a non-action verb. This is a feeling. I'm not allowed to add ing to this verb. Progressive tenses are exactly continuous tenses. For example, here I'm not allowed to use present continuous. I'm wanting a new car is completely wrong, or even past form of that. The point is that you are not allowed to add ing to these verbs. We have some exceptions too. For example, about be, have, see, taste, smell, feel, and think. In some situations, we are allowed to add ing. For example, about be. You are smart. In this situation, because we are talking about this person's personality, we are not allowed to add ing. Then be is stative or non-action because it's part of your personality. But this one, you are being smart. Be is not non-action. This is action verb. Why? Because only now I think that you are smart. Not usually. You are being smart just for this situation and this time. This is true about have. As I told you, when we are talking about possession, we are not allowed to add ing to the verb. I have a car. This have means own. But look at this example. When have is a part of expression, for example, have a party, have a picnic, have a bath, have a good time, have a break, it doesn't talk about possession. Then I'm allowed to add ing. Let's check see. I see what you mean. When we use see to talk about understanding, here it means that I understand you. Then see is a non-action or stative verb. But look at this one. I see her now. She's coming along the road. When I see something with my eyes, I'm not allowed to add ing. Again, see is a stative verb. This one, I'm seeing her tomorrow. Here, see means meet or have a relation with. Then I'm allowed to add ing when it has another meaning, meet. Then it turns to action verb or non-stative. Verbs like taste, smell, and feel follow this rule. This soup tastes great. When I'm talking about a certain taste or smell or feel, exactly this verb is stative or non-action. But the chef is tasting the soup. Here, tasting means eating or testing its taste. Then, this is non-stative or action verb. Then, I'm allowed to add ing. It is true about think. I think that coffee is great. When I say this sentence, exactly I'm introducing or I'm talking about my opinion. But this one, what are you thinking about? We are sitting and thinking about something. Then this is an action of thinking. Now, I want to talk about present perfect. Look, when we are talking about present perfect, we have two keywords, definite time and indefinite time. Look at these examples. Helen met Bill in 1999 and again in 2004. When I say this sentence and then ask you, when did she meet Bill? You can answer and you can tell me, when did it happen? It happened in the past and in specific time, 1999 and 2004. But look at this example. Helen has met Bill twice. When I say this sentence and ask you, when did she meet Bill? You can't answer. We don't know. Imagine that Helen was born here and now we are here. This can happen anytime. Here, from here. We don't know when did it happen. We don't have any specific or definite time. When we have definite time and we know that when did something happen in the past, we use simple past, met. But when we are talking about past and we don't know or it is not important that when did it happen, we have to use present perfect, has met. Now I want to talk about affirmative statements. I have tried Indian food. Look, the sentence starts with a subject. We have two kinds of subjects, I, you, we, they, and he, she, it. When we have these subjects, we have to use have. When we have third-person subjects, exactly singular third-person ones, we have to use has. And after that, tried, we have the third part of the verb that we called it past participle. Now let's check. What is past participle form of the verb? We have two kinds of the verbs, regular verbs and irregular verbs. For example, verbs like wash. What is the past form of wash? Because this is regular, it is enough to add ed at the end of that. And what about past participle or third part of that? Again, that's enough to add ed at the end of that. Watch, watched, watched. Visit, visited, visited. Decide, decided, decided. Call, called, called. Want, wanted, wanted. Let's check again. When a verb is regular, it doesn't matter we are talking about past or past participle form of that. That's enough to add ed at the end of that. But what about irregular verbs? We have a different story about them. Verbs like do, the past form of do is did, and the past participle of that is done. Verbs like go, went, but gone. Have, had, had. It has the same form past and past participle. Eat, ate, eaten. Take, took, taken. Speak, spoke, spoken. What about negative form? They haven't spoken with their teacher. Let's check the form. It starts with a subject. As I told you, we have two different kinds of them. Because this is plural subject, we have to use have and then. That's enough to add not to have or has to make it negative. But what happened here? I didn't write they have not. I make it contracted. They haven't. And finally, we have to add the verb. But what kind of verb is needed here? We have to use past participle form of that because the verb is speak. The third form of that is spoken. Let's check contracted forms in present perfect. I have can be contracted to I've. You have, you've. We have, we've. They have, they've. She has, she's. He has, his. It has, its. Maybe you think that, okay, it is really confusing because the contracted form of she is she's too. It is true about his and its, but be careful. When we are talking about present perfect, after that we have the third form or past participle form of the verb. That is not true about is. But look at this one. Martin has. We can write it Martins. John and Melanie have. But when we have nouns plus have, we are not allowed to contract it. Just when we use have with pronouns, we can contract them. Now I want to talk about yes-no questions. Have they spoken with their teacher? What is the form? Have, or has. That depends on what is the subject. For I, you, we, they, we use have, and for third-person subjects we have to use has. Then we have the subject, and after that we have the verb. But what kind of verb? Past participle form of that. That's enough exactly to replace subject and have or has to make a yes/no question. What about short answers? Have they spoken with their teacher? Yes, they have, or no, they haven't. Look at the 4. When the answer is affirmative or positive, we started with yes. After that, we have subject. And finally, we have to use have or has. When the answer is negative, we say no, subject, and finally, haven't or hasn't. That are contracted form of have not and has not. What about information question? What tourist activities have you done? We start with WH words like what, where, why, and then we have or has. After that, we have subject and finally past participle. But look at this one. As I told you in A1 grammar, we can use what to ask about different things. What color, what size, and here I add tourist activities to what. Now I want to talk about different usage of present perfect. He has traveled all around the world. Look at this. When I say this sentence exactly, I'm talking about someone's experience. But did I say when did it happen? No. As I told you, it happened something between his birthday till now. And it is not important for us when did it happen. Just we want to say that we have experienced that. Let's check. Is it about past? Yes. Do we know when did it happen? No. Is he still alive? Yes. What do we say when he's no longer alive? He traveled. When we are talking about recent experiences, we have some time expressions that show us we are talking about experiences and we have to use present perfect. For example, already and yet. I have already tried sushi. It means that it happened for me recently, but I don't mention the time because it's not important. I want just to tell you I have experienced it. Have you already climbed Mount Fuji? We can use already in affirmative sentences and in questions, but when we have to put already in these sentences before the past participle verb. But look at this form. It is not common, but it is possible. I've read the book already. It is preferred to use already before past participle. But if you see already at the end of the sentence, don't be surprised because this is possible. What about yet? I told you we use already in affirmative sentences and questions before the main verb. But what about yet? They haven't gone sightseeing in Tokyo yet. Has she taken pictures of the Great Wall yet? When we use yet, we have to put it in negative sentences as you see, not, haven't, or in questions. But when should we put yet at the end of the sentence or question as you see? It means that we are supposed to do something recently, but we haven't, or we are asked about something that we are supposed to do it. Again, we can use yet in different forms too. It is not common but possible to use it like this. I haven't yet read the book. We can put it before the main verb too, but this form is more preferred and more common. When we want to talk about whole life experiences, we are not allowed to use already and yet. As you know, we have two different kinds of experiences. For whole life experience, we have to use ever and before. Have you ever been to Thailand? When I ask this question, I'm talking about whole life, not recent one. But we can use it in question and in negative sentences. It's not okay to use it in affirmative sentence. Have you ever been to Thailand? When did I put it before the main verb? And here it is negative. Again, I use it before the main verb. What about before? Has he been to Paris before? He hasn't been to Paris before. We can use before in affirmative and negative statements. But when should I put before in a sentence? We have to put it at the end of the sentence, as you see. Now, let's talk about ever and never, and I want to compare them. They haven't ever visited Mexico. I want to emphasize they have never ever visited Mexico. When I use never before ever, exactly I want to show strong emphasis. Don't use ever with yet or already. It is not allowed. They have never visited Mexico. As you can see, when my sentence is not negative, I have to use never. Exactly when we add never to affirmative sentence, we make it negative. Then it is not necessary to add not here. But when we have a negative sentence, we are not allowed to add never. We can put ever. They have never visited Mexico before. We can use before and never together. But as I told you, it is not possible forever. Now, I want to introduce another usage for present perfect. It is not just an experience. Look at this. How long something happened. He has worked here for 3 years. It means that something started in the past 3 years ago, but it didn't finish there. It continued till now, and it continues for 3 years. Do we know when the action started? Yes, 3 years ago. Does the action continue up to and include the present? Yes. Does she still work there? Yes. What are we interested in? The duration of the action, as you can see, for 3 years. Duration is important. Then we can use present perfect as you see how long something happened, started in the past and continue till now. It may continue to future too. But we have 2 different time expressions that show us we are talking about present perfect. The first one is for and another one is since. What is the difference between them? And when should I use for? For is used before a period of time. For example, he has worked here for 3 years. 3 years is a period of time. Then I have to use for before that. What about since? As you can see, since is used before a specific point in the time. Specific point. Example, he has worked here since 2017. This point is 2017, since 2017, but for 3 years. Now I ask you to do this exercise. We want to decide that when should we use past simple and when we have to use present perfect. Let's check. I decided to send them an email this morning. Is there any definite time here? Yes, this morning. Then I'm not allowed to use present perfect. We have to use past simple. Easily I add ed at the end of decide because this is regular. I decided. My friend goes sightseeing in Shiraz. Is there any specific time here? No. We know that. My friend is talking about his or her experiences. Then we have to use present perfect. Has gone. Look, this one is a question. A tour of the mausoleum before. Before exactly is a time expression that introduces present perfect tense. It is not definite. then we have to use present perfect. But about question, I told you that that's enough to exchange have or has with subject. As the subject is you, we have to use have. Have you, and at the end, past participle of take is taken. Have you taken? He to Canada last September. Is there any definite time? Yes, last September. Then I'm not allowed to use present perfect. We have to use past simple. What is the past form of go? Went. What dishes in Ireland? This is a question. But is there any definite time? No. We are talking about someone's experiences. Then we have to use present perfect. What dishes have they tried?